I'm Kavita Gunderia. Urmila and I are co-founders of LTM, and my background has been in audit, financial reporting, preparation of thought leadership material, uh, business writing, that sort of work. And most recently, we've also been in the financial literacy space, and we've conducted several programs for young adults and children on financial literacy. One of the areas we work in is also assisting enterprises such as NGOs who are seeking a social impact in communicating with their stakeholders through their reports, annual reports, or mid-year reports. And today's subject is somewhat in that area. So I'll let Urmila introduce herself as well, and then we can start.
Hi, my name is Urmila. So, as Kavita said, both of us are chartered accountants by profession, and we were in the corporate sector for about, I think, 19, 20 years each, kind of. And then we've kind of stepped back and we've started up on our own. So, sustainability is something that we are very interested in and is very close as is nature. So, that's how our association with Sprouts also is. And today we thought, based on our experience and knowledge, we can talk about what so sustainability in a little different sense in terms of how do you sustain an organization, when you want to bring about some impact in the area that you're working in. So that's the idea today. So I think we can start off with the session. So we wanted to. So before we start, actually, what we'd like to do is just do a quick round of intros. If we'd like to know who's in the session, so it'll be great. If you can just quickly talk about yourself and let us know what interests you to attend the session today.
Can I go first?
Yes, please.
Actually, I'm having some issues with my camera, so maybe the video will be off.
Sure.
Okay. So I'm Shubhankar Ghosh. Hello. Actually, I'm a project associate in CSIR East, that's based in the Northeast.
Okay.
Project associate.
Yeah.
And basically, I was last year in the Corona when I didn't have this job. I was trying to get into the renewable energy sector. And I was almost close to, upcycling or recycling plastic to make crude oil out that. That's the reverse process.
Yeah.
So, and in this sector, what I realized was that, it's a big hurdle to cross to get investors, to get the capital that you need to start with, to have the organizational skills or the know-how to do so, specifically the taxes, which we are not taught in school or colleges at all if you're not from the commerce background, which I'm not. So my chiefly interest was that. So I wanted to know the background of it, because if there is no economics, we cannot, a project or a organization or a limited cannot function. So that's what I'm here for.
Okay,
so much.
great. Yeah. Thanks, Shubhankar. Yeah. Anyone else who would want to just? Sukanya.
Hello.
Hi, Sukanya.
This is Sukanya. I am a recent postgraduate in environmental studies.
Okay.
And since this workshop is about financial education and I'm from a background of biology, I don't know much. I don't have much knowledge about it. So that's why I wanted to attend this workshop.
Sure. Okay. Great. Thanks. Yeah. Rahul?
Good morning. Am I audible?
Yes, Rahul.
Yeah.
Good morning. I am Rahul, and I'm an engineer by profession. So I haven't had like a formal knowledge of finance and economics, but I do have an interest due to the stock markets. And since I am an investor, or 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 like we all dabble sometimes. So when we invest, we always think that okay, if I'm investing, I need to get the return.
Yeah.
And from a sustainability point of view, there is also a part of me that realizes that if you only keep on saying returns, then it becomes a very corrosive kind of practice. So how do you balance sustainability with investment in the sense ki, you'll get returns and all.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
how do you manage all that? And so that is one of the main reasons why I'm interested in the workshop.
Yeah. Great.
Okay.
Super. Okay. Okay. So, Dviti, you want to say something?
Yes,
Okay. No
just a
problem.
second.
So, yeah.
Yeah, should I? Yeah, so hello everyone. This is Dviti, and I have recently graduated from Masters in Nanoscience and Nanotechnology. Actually, me and one of my friend had tried two startups actually, one on eWest and another on education and technology, edutech. So eWest one, of course, was affected severely by
Sorry,
COVID.
we're not able to hear you clearly, Dviti. We lost
Yeah,
you
I
a
think he
little
said
bit.
e-waste. Did you
E-waste,
say
I heard.
e-waste?
Yes.
E-waste. And the second one was?
Edutech. I think
Okay.
I will switch off
Okay.
my video for now. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, both of them were affected by COVID actually. EduTech, we could able to start though. We approached some schools and all. But eWest, I mean, it was not really a business plan to be honest. But I was trying something, but again, that was affected by COVID. But so honestly, my knowledge in economics is pretty basic. Like I understand the mathematics and statistics behind it, but that's it. Like I have not studied it like you guys can understand things from the numbers. I cannot do that. Like yeah, I can, but understand. Like if someone makes me, I will. So that's why I'm interested. Like it seemed fascinating, and I requested like Rahul and other hosts to put me into this so that I can volunteer for this session.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Thanks. Thanks. I think all of you all have spoken points that we'll touch upon today. That so the idea today that we thought we'll do is we will kind of have an overall open discussion. So we will also talk, and we'll love your inputs in terms of what all aspects go when you look at both ways. As an investor looking to invest in something, or as an organization looking for funds. Yeah. So we thought we'll talk about 5 different aspects today, which we will come into in a minute. So these are the topics that we thought we will talk about. So, and these topics will be common across any kind of organization that you're into, either you're part of or you're starting up with. So it could be something that's only an impact, or having a profit impact, like a hybrid kind of situation. But these are few things that we have come across that is absolutely important for an organization to survive, and also look at having a sustainable long term impact.
Yep.
Yeah. So as now we all know that balancing impact and profit is something all of us definitely struggle with. A lot of people want to create impact, and that's a brilliant thing. But of course, if you have to create impact, you also have to sustain the profitability model in most cases. Of course, there are a lot of good examples where people are able to create impact in a non-profit organization or for non-profit kind of way. So when we're talking about how what is important when you're setting up something, the idea itself. Somebody spoke about crude oil as an idea. So the idea is very important. The second big thing is the market. What are the market forces that impact your idea, or are there competitors in the market already? How are you going to bring your product to the market? So these are things that needs to be thought about in detail in the beginning, because usually what happens is a lot of us, including us, Kavita and me also have, we've done some startup recently. We have a good idea. We want to start implementing immediately. But what we realize is that unless all these are thought about a little much in detail, the implementation, we don't know where it will go. And of course, it also individual is very important in terms of the individual being passionate about two things. One is passionate about the impact, and also ready to, sail through the initial years, because those initial years are really tough for anyone. Both from an impact point of view, or if you're looking at profitability point of view, both of this will not happen in the initial few years. And so someone who's very strong minded in terms of, okay, this is what we want to do and this is how number of years it will take, and you're able to sustain that, all these things play a very important part in kind of building up that organization. Now, depending on what the idea is or what is your thought process, that you can set up different kinds of organizations, right? So it could be a purely non-profit organization where you think, okay, I just want to do impact. I'm fine with running a non-profit organization. Or it could be impact investing. I know Rahul spoke about investing, when you invest focused on risk rewards and impact equally. Now, this requires a lot of research. We need to be sure on what we want to do and what kind of return we are okay with. Now, there are a lot of now, of course, upcoming in our country, at least socially responsible, ESG compliant organizations. Of course, it's nascent. Things are coming up, but there are organizations, which are able to do that. And of course, purely for profit. I mean, we cannot say that because we are doing a purely for profit organization, we're not creating an impact. There could be an organization which is running on profit and creating an impact, balancing it well, kind of thing. So I know we in India, of course, there are very few organizations just now which is able to manage that. But why this organizational structure is important is each of it will come with its own, requirements and risks, and of course rewards also. So and in a lot of cases, it could also be like a hybrid. You could do a non-profit impact in one way and also have a profitable venture to support your non-profit. I don't
I
know.
think,
Yeah, Kavita, you can add.
so I was just saying that I think that it starts from the idea and the market,
Yeah.
because it depends what you want to do. Some ideas or some impact areas can be profitable because there is a way to have someone pay for your product or service, whether it is the desire, the people who you want to create an impact for themselves. So we look at an example of lot of financial inclusion oriented enterprises which have a social impact because their impact is in terms of extending formal banking system and access to credit across the country to rural areas, small sectors, women. And they are also being able to sustain because there are margins, there is a user pay mechanism. But if you're looking at something like an educational impact, you may not be able to find a user pay model. So it very much depends on the idea and the market, who you're creating the impact for, and who's going to actually pay if you have a dual profit motive as well to sustain yourself.
Yeah, Rahul, you have a question?
Yes.
Yeah.
You had mentioned that the initial couple of years, or I don't know how many years, are the most difficult time. Now, if some business is purely for profit, from the point of view of the investors, I can understand that they are looking at the long term and they want a return down the line.
Yeah.
But suppose there is a non-profit or impact investing where, I mean, profit might be there, might not, means is not the only or sole goal. During these initial tough years, means what is the criteria that makes investors say, okay, I'll still put money in it? Is it scalability or what?
Uh,
So I think we are going to talk about some of that, but the main thing is alignment, I think, between what that entity is wants to do and who it is seeking funds from. So if you're a non-profit, you are going to rely on creating an impact which is aligned maybe from a location perspective with, say, a large organization who is operating in the same locality. For example, if you want to do something in rural welfare, if there is a company which has a large plant over there, they also want to benefit the communities around them from education or access to sanitation or water or whatever. So you would probably be able to find a meeting point seeking sponsorship from such an organization. Then the important thing is how are you creating impact so that their funds are utilized appropriately. I think that we'll talk about when we come to that point little later.
later.
You want to add something, Varmina?
No, I think that's perfect, because it's not only, so when we talk about struggling in the first few years, it's not only the profit, it's also the impact. No, everything takes time. So, like Kavita said, I think the meeting, we'll just talk about it. Actually, the next slide. So this is, I think, important. We will when we talk about, because see, when we start early, when we are starting in a seed stage, usually from an investor point of view, you call it like a seed stage, where you have the idea, you need inputs on even developing your business model. You want to know how to plan ahead. There are investors who are okay to do that seed capital level, give you seed capital investment. Now there is a next stage where, okay, you've settled well, your ideas settled well. Now okay, you have a business plan. Either the impact or the profit. You're able to understand. Okay, I will be able to give that get that impact or get that profit level in the next few years. That is a little more settled stage. And of course, there's a third stage when we will talk about scaling up. We will come to the third stage in some time. But depending on whichever stage you are, there will be a different kind of investor who will be ready to give you the funds. So that is,
So for example,
yeah, Kavita.
yeah, sorry.
Sure, go ahead.
No, I was just saying that, for example, if when you're in stage one, you just have an idea, you're testing your idea, you have a few beneficiaries, there are even organizations called incubators, for example. So one very well-known incubator in India, Unlimited India, I think it's called.
Yes.
They run even competitions. You can present your idea for social entrepreneurship, and if you succeed in terms of meeting their requirement with your idea, your innovation, your operational plan, they will support you in structuring your enterprise, in how you are going to run it. Initial funds also. So it depends entirely firstly on your idea, and then accessing the people who are supporting this.
Yeah. We work with an NGO who are in the hearing impaired sector. So they have gone through this. So they were quite happy with the help that they got in terms of structuring. And they also got support for, I think, few years, even in terms of their reporting and all of those things, which also is very important, which we'll talk about, because this whole structure, the way the organization is run in today's world is very important. Impact is one bit which is important, but also the way the whole organization is structured, the team, the documentation, or whatever you call the processes. These things help in one is sustaining and also scalability. So, a professional kind of organization, even at a small level, we do understand that smaller levels, smaller teams, all that is there. But understanding these concepts and having these processes and making sure everything is set from a small level will help when you grow. That's something that we've seen. So, depending on which level you are, that's the kind of investors you will be able to find. And any questions here, any thoughts we can talk about? No?
So
Okay.
basically, just for information, the type of investors who look for impact these days are across the board.
Yeah.
So you start with your incubators or angel investors who are providing you the seeding, help with innovating, building your business model. But then there are impact-oriented venture capital funds. There are, corporates who want to create impact or who want to contribute because they have to contribute for CSR requirements. Corporate social responsibility. We'll talk about that also a little more. Because of that change in law a few years ago, a lot of funds have come into the social and environmental impact sector through corporate funding.
Yeah. And just to add to this, I think technology is something that's playing a big role in this whole area. Tech is something that really we will talk about that also, but that's something from a process, for governance, everything point of view. Tech is something that's, and you guys are very young, so I'm sure technology is something that comes easy to you than to us, but that's something that you guys should have in mind when so just a little more when we're talking about organization. Now, we spoke about various organizations, right? We spoke about an NGO, a non-profit, a profit, a hybrid, or a for-profit organization. So from our point of view, all these organizations will need few things that will help you sustain, that will help you grow. So one is innovation. So innovation is not something that's one time. You just can't say, okay, this is my idea and this is what I'm doing and this is what I want to do. But that's something that needs to keep, you have to keep revisiting that and making sure you're relevant in the market in whichever form you are. Because today the world is changing so fast, you know, just at the tip of your hand, you have everything. So innovation is something that's very, very important. Then the second bit, we always feel there's a gap because in the corporate sector, it's very highly governed, right? The laws and everything. So transparent governance is something that is very inbuilt into a lot of corporate structures. But from a social impact or a social venture point of view, this is something that's very important, like transparent governance. So it could be as simple as, you know, creating standard operating procedures, for example, you know, having a process document, or making sure all your it's not only financial. So one bit is, of course, the financial bit where you have all your receipts and whatever you need from an income tax point of view, but it's also the rest of the processes across the organization, which and leadership. So leadership is something that we always want to talk about. So there is a concept called going concern that in finance that we learn about. You know, what do you mean by going concern is any organization will have to survive even without its people. So organization is separate from its people. So tomorrow, if Kavita and me have LTM, tomorrow if I am not there or Kavita is not there, LTM should be able to survive on its own. So that's something called a going concern kind of, or where, so it's not only people, it can also be, you know, financial, all impact, but from a social impact point of view, I think people plays a very important role. So how do you ensure that, okay, after 5 years, after 10 years, or after 15 years, if the person wants to retire, the person who is the base of this, you know, idea, how does that continue? How do you continue the impact? Then another important thing is the measuring impact performance. So we work with a couple of NGOs. We help them, you know, build up their annual reports, or, you know, any kind of reports that goes to their stakeholders. There's a little bit of gap there where okay, the organization knows that they're creating impact. You know, the people working on the ground know they keep creating impact. How does the investor know? Or how, not even an investor, somebody who is, you know, funding the venture, or you know, contributing to the venture, know that what is happening, so that the same people will come back at a later stage when you want more, you know, investment. How do you make sure that you're communicating regularly, telling them that your impact is up? So communication doesn't have to be 40 pages of, you know, written word. No, how do you give a proper impact, kind of very crisp impact communication that goes to them regularly, showing them the work that you do, and to make sure they are engaged? That's one thing. And measuring impact itself. Now, today we don't, in India, of course, we'll talk about it a little more. We don't have very standardized measuring tools. So that's something that you have to develop on your own. Like your product is very different from the rest. So how do you measure the impact of your product or your service? You know, that's happening. Then we spoke about communication and also the scale up. So we the ability to scale up is something that is a question that's there for everyone. No, it's easy to start up. It may be easy to even run it at the same level for a few years, but scaling up requires a lot of thought process to be put in. So what we'll do is we'll talk about each of this in detail. So so innovation, we spoke about innovation. So innovation for some, I mean, please stop us at any point if if you want to ask something, we are happy to answer. So innovation, I think from when we are very young, we always think about, okay, once, yeah, Shubhankar.
I just had a question that you said that measurement was the problem, right?
Yeah.
So like, does like monetization or money measurement works like at the base level of it?
Yeah, so we are going to cover the measurement aspect in little more detail. So when we talk about social impact oriented ventures, whether you are a non-profit or you're a dual, impact plus profit, the measurement is not just in your financial format. It's not just about your financials or what is your cost and income and profitability. You also need to demonstrate impact, because people who are funding you are doing it for a dual purpose. It's not just for returns. They're doing it for impact as well as returns. So there are challenges around how do you then meet the requirement that you have made an impact. What was the impact you wanted to make versus what have you made? So we will be covering that in the slide on measurement. Just get to it. Yeah.
So coming back to innovation, so sometimes what happens, innovation is something that we always think it's one time. Okay, the idea came and then innovation is done with. But when you're running any kind of an organization, innovation is just not a one-time process. The design thinking process is very important. So when I'm starting up, I may think it's a great idea, the product or the service that I'm coming by. But how do I know the market? Will people pay for it, or will it create the impact that I think it will create? That design thinking process is very important to understand how the product or the service, is it unique enough to create the impact, or both financial or a social impact that we want it to create. Now, what is the process of delivery? How are we going to make sure that, Kavita, we were talking about how the impact is in a certain area. So are we going to create impact in a geographical area? Or is it something that it can be more widespread? You have to have that thought process in mind very clear when this whole thinking about innovation or your product or your service. Now, tech, again, we spoke about it, but technology is something that I think across is able to help enable this kind of a thought process. Is there any part of tech that can be used? Today, very simple example of, we know a lot of these newer NGOs work with tribals, near the forest areas, make them do products. They may be able to do a brilliant embroidery or whatever, which they may not be able to sell because they don't have access to social media. They may not have access to anything. But you have a team sitting in cities, who are able to market and sell. Now, without technology, this wouldn't have been possible. No, but these are things that has to be part of organization. I think it's time that there is no choice but to have these in mind. For example, payment. I think there was a session yesterday on how to, include payment. Today, I don't carry my purse anywhere. I go with my phone and I'm able to do shopping wherever I want, right? So are we tuned up to all of those things? So these things will help in terms of understanding and setting up a very good base at this level. And another important thing that we also keep telling ourselves is to challenge our assumptions every time. We may think that, okay, we are creating the best impact, we think this is the market, but keep challenging, keep going back to the idea with the changing environment and see, is this the impact? Is it the right impact also? Is this a need? Is that impact a need to the people that we are giving it to? We may think it is, but is it really needed? Market forces are big in today's world. Even from a social impact point of view, there are so many things happening all around, right? So how are we, or how is this organization unique enough to withstand that and sustain in such a market? Business viability, of course, when you're running a hybrid or a for-profit organization, this is something that we'll have to keep visiting. So big corporates where we work with, we used to have like quarterly reviews of our financials. Of course, that's important, right? Of looking at next few months. Now, these are things that can be done at any level. But where we talk about governance, I think we will also elaborate where processes are something that can be established at a very small level, and that becomes a habit even for the teams. That's important. And of course, the organizational structure. So do we have a team that is good enough to carry things forward? Are we creating, training people to take over the organization at a later level? These are things that's very important to understand. And sustainability, we started speaking about it. It's not only from an environment sustainability point of view, it's also sustaining the whole organization and making sure the impact is sustainable for a longer period of time. So very important innovation. What we want to say is, innovation is not something that's one time. It's an ongoing process, and we'll have to keep revisiting these things. Most of the times what happens is, once we start something, we are so involved in the day-to-day running of the organization, that in few years we feel that we are a little outdated. I think a lot of us have it has happened to us. It's even in when you join even if you go join an organization, you feel that in 5 years that you're outdated. So something that you have to keep coming back to. I think we are running out of time. So any you have time, Kavita.
Yeah. So just before I start this, for innovation, one thing I wanted to add is, whether you are starting your own social impact enterprise or you're going to work with one, ideas are very good. Impact area may be good. There may be a delivery mechanism, there may be a tech solution, but business model, how will this pay for itself? So is it something that will be paid for through sponsorship and donations, which means it's a non-profit? And if not, then how will this pay for itself? I think that is a thought process when people come from an impact mindset, they're not often thinking of that at the start. But unless there is a mechanism for a business to pay for itself, even if it's not going to make huge profits, but it's going to balance profit and impact, that business is unlikely to survive. So there has to be a constant focus on what is the revenue model, or what is the funding model whenever an enterprise is set up. So that should be part of the innovation process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, as Urmila said earlier when she introduced, governance, structure and process is an area where we see a lot of gaps, especially when somebody is setting up a non-profit. So for-profit entities by their very nature have some sort of process because they have financial reporting obligations. For-profit entities are focused on returns, so there is automatically some emphasis on regular reporting and ensuring financial hygiene, all of that. But when it comes to non-profits, it often slips. So if we look at something as basic as documentation, if you have set up a non-profit or you're working for a non-profit, you are going to rely on people donating or corporate sponsoring money. One of the main reasons people do that, for example, is for tax benefits. So have you registered your organization under the Income Tax Act and got the certificate where donations are tax deductible? It may seem a very basic thing, but some organizations do not ensure that they keep up with the reporting requirements to maintain that certification. Then CSR. So I don't know if many of you are aware, the company law regulations in India a few years ago mandated that all corporates who make profits and who have a net worth of more than 500 crores or revenue of more than 1,000 crores or profits, I think exceeding, I forget the threshold, they have to donate 2% of their profits to create impact in a list of areas which are specified. So those are the usual social impact areas around health, education, agriculture, sanitation, all of that. So because of this requirement, all profitable corporates have to find a way to donate 2% of their profits. So that is a big source of funds for non-profit organizations who are creating good impact. But it's not easy to get that sponsorship. So until last year, actually, this law just required corporates to donate. If they don't donate it, they were required to disclose, why they have not met the CSR requirements and just inform their stakeholders. Now, the law has changed in 2021. They have to either contribute the money or they have to, park it in an account where they will utilize it in the future and state how they are going to utilize in the future. So it has become a lot more rigorous, the requirement to donate. They also, if they are large corporates with large sponsorship budgets, they have to make sure that they do an impact assessment. So making sure their funds are being used to create the desired impact. So there is a lot more formalization around this process. So people who want sponsorships, who are running social impact non-profits, should understand that unless they are able to demonstrate the impact, unless they are able to really act as partners in implementing that impact, they will not be able to access those funds. Rahul, you had a question? Sorry, I just saw your raised hand.
Not a question, but there was a broadcast that the meeting will end in say 4 minutes. So
okay.
Just wanted to inform.
Right. So we'll run through the rest of it in brief. So when we talk about access to investors, the main thing is we need to have adequate governance in terms of your documentation, compliance with laws, processes around how you're managing your money, how you're managing your organizational operations, and how are you going to report, how are you going to communicate. So if as a company, if I give a sponsorship, I want to know what is happening with that money. I want to know whether that money is being utilized efficiently, whether there is maximum impact being created. Okay, if I give a contribution, you say you have had an impact, say on 1,000 people, but could you have impacted 2,000 people? Was there efficiency in the way the money was utilized? I think those are things that nonprofits need to focus more on.
And just to add that I think tech helps quite a bit in this, because in the data gathering, so what we've also seen is the data gathering exercise itself is quite not happening in terms of this impact, because it's not like a financial data gathering where if you account for your receipts and your payments, you'll be able to get a report out of it. That's not how it works. So setting up a process around data gathering of the impact helps a lot in communicating to the stakeholders.
Urmila, given that we don't have much time, I think we'll just cover measurement very quickly, because I think that is important.
That's important, yeah.
So if you can go to the measurement slide, I think Shubhankar also had that question. Why is there a challenge around measuring? So like I said, you need to demonstrate not just financial results, but impact. And how do you measure that impact? So today, if you are running an organization which is in the educational sector, so you're a non-profit or you're a dual impact organization, what is the metric you will use? Is it the number of children who benefit from your activities, or is it the improvement in reading levels, for example, or improvement in grades, or what is the metric that you will use? Or if you're running an organization which is focusing on environmental reduction of environmental pollution, what is the metric that you will use? How are you demonstrating that you've created this impact? How are you comparable to other organizations who may be seeking to create similar impacts? Why should I, as an investor, give you funds versus them? Who's creating more impact? So there has to be regular measurement, regular reporting, regular monitoring. And because there is no standardized format or standardized metrics, especially in India, it's very difficult. Sometimes the reporting is just description. If you see annual reports many nonprofits put out, they put out stories of impact. Definitely they've created impact. But besides those personal stories of impact, on an overall basis, on a measurable basis, how far-reaching has their impact been? How much depth has there been in their impact? Is it real impact, or is it touch points but not real impact? Has it changed the lives of those people in the future? I think that is where the challenge is. Globally, there are some standardized metrics that are being developed. There is a global impact investing network which has come out with some kind of standardized metrics. I think if you research, you will be able to see that. But this is an area which needs to have greater focus and needs a lot of development going forward for the social sector. I think
this is okay. I think we spoke about communication. This is some questions we'll leave you with. You can on scaling up. I think we can share the PPT. Rahul, we will share the PPT, the presentation. You can share it with the people who are interested.
Sure.
I think an interesting fact also, Rahul, since you mentioned you are into investing, is SEBI is introducing the concept of social stock exchange. I don't know how far it will happen, but they are seriously getting into it. They are taking feedback from market participants also. Where fundraising for dual impact and non-profits will become easier. It'll be like a stock exchange for social impact.
Okay, that is great. Thank you so much.
Sorry. Can I just have one question before we break? I think we have 30 seconds or 40 seconds.
Sure.
Maybe it's a small question, and maybe I don't know. That's why I'm asking this. If the CSR funding that are available, are they only available to the NGOs, or they can be tapped in by the private limited companies or somebody who has a dual bottom line?
You have to be registered as an implementation agency and demonstrate impact creation. So I'm not sure right now if any profitable entities really, I don't think a profit-making entity as such will be able to access it. But if you are into creating impact and you are self-sustaining and earning revenue also, then I don't think that is a prohibition. So I think that will need further, detailed analysis depending on what type of entity.
Maybe we can connect after this.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, Rahul.
No, I wanted to thank you for bringing to light all these factors. I did not know about this, and since I am more or less working in technology, all I am familiar with is Silicon Valley, profit, scaling, hemorrhaging money, and then going bust after making a few billionaires. So this was very good.